independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I believe Dr. Blasey Ford because she's telling the truth.
Well, I've heard, many predators say and refute allegations against them.
I think she's credible. I think a majority of senators will find her credible.
Do you believe her story?
Well, I can tell you it really does have a ring of truth to it.
I believe Dr. Ford, as I refer to her, because she makes a very credible case.
I believe Dr. Ford, the survivor. There's every reason to disbelieve Judge Kavanaugh.
We might be putting someone who committed attempted rape on the Supreme Court of the United States.
For me, there is no debate. I believe Professor Ford.
You know what's funny is a lot of these people are lawyers, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and there used to be this thing called due process. But I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Yeah. So where are we today? Well, still no news. Maybe next Thursday. Definitely not Monday. If I'm Grassley, I give him. You know what? You got till next Friday. If by next Friday there is nothing, we're voting Friday afternoon. Have a wonderful life. At this point in time, have a wonderful life. What else are you going to say at this point in time? What else? That's it. The people on the left are going to do what they do. The people on the right are going to do what they do. I'm arguing with somebody on Twitter, well, we should have this and why the rush and this, that, and the other. But there's no rush to get this done as far as like we nominated him last Tuesday and we need to have it done by Friday. This is taking a somewhat normal, and now we're course, the average was 25 days, longest is 125. We're moving into that 80, 90-day category, and which is fine. But at some point in time, you can't drag everything on forever. And I'm reading some of these articles, by the way, that are just so vile. The hinting, well, he coached girls' sports, so you never know. Like, as to insinuate, he may be a pedophile, right? Right? That his frat house that he was a part of, they used to do like panty raids. Oh, God! It's nuts. It's nuts. And let's have if this is what it is, and I asked somebody earlier today, because you just heard that. I believe. That's all you, I believe. There's no, it's, I believe. Let's just say the FBI comes in and says, look, we investigated. Yeah, it's not what she's claiming it is. Or it is, but it sure in the hell ain't this guy. Or whatever. But they firmly come out and they do an investigation and they say it's not him. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that's going to change the narrative for the left about him? Hell no. Because this isn't about her. This isn't about her experience. They're using her experience to stop him by any means necessary. Has zero, zilch, nada to do with him and her and that experience. It's whatever I can do to stop him.
You omitted, cleverly, a very important fact, which is that Judge Kavanaugh said that he wasn't there. And this is no longer she said, he said. It's she said, and he said he wasn't there. And you keep on omitting, what do you mean, what's the difference? You keep on omitting a very important fact that Judge Kavanaugh found out the identity of this individual on Sunday for the first time. By Monday, he had already given his statement to the committee.
Okay, so he's gone and done that. Said, I wasn't there. But no, she said he was there. So he's a liar. Automatically, he's a cisgender white male of privilege. Automatically, he is guilty of past sins. That's an automatic thing. And remember, it's not about her. You could put Jane Doe. It doesn't matter who it is as long as the ends justify the means and he's stopped by any means necessary. I was texting somebody earlier and they're like, you're sticking up for men. I'm like, no, you know what? In many ways, and I'm going to say this, I'm sticking up for men. Because as a man, I'm sick and tired of everything always being our fault, that we're all according to a certain sect of society that, for whatever reasons, gets way more press time and the bully pulpit of blaming us for everything. Every man was like this. Every man is evil. Every experience is... That's a lot of what this is. If this guy's guilty, you can ask any man. You know what? Throw the book at him. Do whatever you need to do. Stop him. Stop him. But I think as men across the board, and a lot of women out there feel like it's at some point in time, you know what? We're sick and tired of it. I said it the other day. I'm sick and tired of watching television shows, flipping around, even seeing a commercial like, the lady left me with a baby and I stuck it in the dishwater. Like we're all idiots. We're just Neanderthals dragging our knuckles, walking around all day, just looking at how we can just lust after women. And at some point in time, we're going to just rape them and turn it. It's enough is enough. It is. It is. I'm sick and tired of it. Absolutely, 110%. And as a man, if this guy did something awful and evil, if he did, then Dan Skippy, he should pay for it. 100%. I'm sticking up for men. I'm sticking up for due process. I'm sick and tired of it. And I think as a common sense, alt-middle nation person, I look around and say, I can also read through the BS that is, yes, this entire situation when it comes to the political side of it.
You can't omit important facts.
What if I omitted?
Okay, I just told you. You omitted the fact that Judge Kavanaugh has
reported many times that he denies it.
Well, you didn't report it
but
tonight.
We haven't heard any testimony. I'm going to say it many times tonight. I've said it many times before.
Okay, so they start getting into it. Conway's like getting into it. And at the same time, her husband's tweeting about what a horrible human being Trump is.
Look, you're missing my point. My point is, you guys said you wanted a process. You wanted her to be heard. Then you said, I don't remember a lot of things that happened when I was 15. Maybe she's forgotten. We don't know what she's forgotten and what she hasn't. She hasn't even testified.
No,
you won't put the FBI. You won't go to the FBI. The president won't ask for the FBI. Why not make the best efforts? Why not make the best efforts? There's the question.
Here's what you need to know. These are our best efforts.
Not having the FBI is the best effort?
Again, I asked the question to everybody out there. When you hear something like this,
I believe Dr. Blasey Ford because she's telling the truth.
Well, I've heard, many predators say and refute allegations against them.
I think she's credible.
When you hear that, I believe. Do you think bringing the FBI in, and if the FBI says, hey, we took a look, we checked it out, we don't think her story's credible. We're not saying it didn't happen to her, but we're definitely saying it didn't happen with this guy, or there's no way we're ever going to be able. Do you think that anybody on the left is going to go, well, they're just going to say it's partisanship, they're afraid of Trump, they're going to come up with some other excuse? If your mind is made up, my mind's not made up whether or not he did it. I don't know. I wasn't there. I was not there. Neither were you. So they go in there and they say, we talked to the guy and under oath, he says he's not there. And we kind of tend to believe that maybe he's not there. Or maybe they say, hey, you know what? We think this guy's full of crap. He's a scumbag. I don't know. But even if they come back with it and say, look, there's no way we can prove or disprove any of this, and the reality is, judged by what we've heard on her side, and things kind of changed on his side, he's pretty pat about this. We don't think he did anything. Then what? Do you think the left's going to go, well, they've spoken. They're going to say, railroaded. It's a game. It was completely rigged. Privilege. All of these things. That's what's going to happen. That's it. That's it. And by the way, how many women came out? Some 65 women came out, right? A little bit more than that. This is Megan McCabe, who's also identifies as a cisgender person, I think, talking about her friend, Brett.
More than 6 of us, the girls who were his closest friends in high school and hung out with him virtually every weekend, had no choice but to stand up and say, that's not the Brett I know.
It's not good enough. You're not good enough. And now you've sold out your sex. That's the other stuff I heard. If you don't agree with her, if you're a man, it's your privilege, right? You know, it's a patriarchy. It's all of these things because it becomes an us versus them thing. I want due process and truth. I don't care about what side it's on. I've said it and I'll say it again. If he is the one that has done something here, he's disqualified, overdone and dusted, and your reputation, all the stuff you built on is a house of lies and BS, and you just go away, right? Right? That's it. You're done. Just go away. It's over, right? That's it. But for some people, there is no if. There is. It's not if he's guilty. He is guilty. It's not if it can be proven. It has been proven as far as they're concerned. It is proven. Due process and truth actually matter. And yes, as a man, I'm sick and tired of hearing about it all the time, about how horrible we are, about how the past sins of men before us is the reason that we're guilty today. It's a bunch of crap. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
In a May 2017 conversation with then Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein suggested McCabe wear a wire the next time he spoke to President Trump.
Now, if you're just hearing about this, and again, the New York Times put this out. This wasn't like Breitbart or some. The New York Times put this out that essentially said, hey, Rod Rosenstein joked around with Andrew McCabe and a few other people about wearing a wire. Why would they do that?
Sources also tell ABC News McCabe's memos show Rosenstein spoke of the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office.
What?
One source said that may have been sarcasm.
Was the wire not sarcasm? See, that's what I'm trying to put together. Was the wire sarcasm and the whole thing, or was it just the 25th Amendment? And that, to me, is, look, if this is true, and there's no reason not to believe it, because Rosenstein hasn't denied it. If this is true, he's got to go, right? I mean, he's got to go. Now, he's come out and said, look, there's no reason whatsoever for the 25th Amendment, none of these things. But the reality is, this is the guy who, you know, Jeff Sessions, who is no longer the Attorney General in the eyes of one person in the country, and that's the president, but he's still the Attorney General. This is the reason he stepped aside. Rosenstein handled everything. The Russia investigation, all of this stuff, it's happening. And you step back for a second and you say to self? Feels like if he was joking or not joking, that you can plausibly, if you're the president, say, look at this here. You can have plausible deniability, but I could look at this and say, you, this whole thing. Hey, it may be time for you to go. McCabe's already gone. Are you next? Potentially. Sessions, you could be gone too. We could have a whole new thing, and this Russia investigation could go woo.
Rosenstein called the story inaccurate and factually incorrect and insisted that based on his personal dealings with the president, there's no basis to invoke the 25th Amendment.
Maybe that's true. I mean, I again, at this point in time, there is so many he said, she said, deep state, conspiracy, craziness. It is hard to keep track of everything. But if I'm the president right now, this is very intriguing. And now you've given me you've basically given me fuel for a fire, especially for a rabid base of people who believe the Russia investigation and deep state and all of this stuff. You've added to it with this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Hey, every single day, including Fridays. We just don't do it like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do it every single day. If it's Taco Tuesday, we're doing it. If it's Throwback Thursday, Third Person Thursday, we're doing it. If it's the Mondays, we love Monday, Motivation Monday, we're doing it. Guess what, kids? We do it. What is it? It is our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
All right, I love this one. On site. What? Yeah, okay, stick with me here, kids. On site. So essentially what it means is you see somebody, they're on site. You dislike them, you have a problem with them, you guys have beef, which is another one, right? So what happens is you guys are going to get into a scrape. Could be an argument, could be a debate, could be whatever, but they're on site. If that guy comes on site, it's on. On site is your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
You may be hearing that song during the halftime Super Bowl show. Make that allegedly, supposedly, reportedly, because Maroon 5 supposedly has been selected to head the Super Bowl halftime show. But the NFL has not confirmed that. But the backlash has started if it is them. Critics say, couldn't you have chosen an Atlanta-based act where the Super Bowl is going to be held? You got Usher, you got Outkast, you got T.I., you got Migos, you got Zac Brown Band, you got Sugarland.
Yeah, but Maroon 5's bigger than all of them, and I love Zac Brown Band. There's a ton of people you probably could have picked. Maroon 5 has a global appeal, and we're debating this throughout today, and I'd love to hear from you. You could text the program 323-538-2423. Is Maroon 5 America's answer to Nickelback? I believe they can be. They could be, or better yet, producer Phil, they're America's answer to Nickelback and Coldplay. Ooh. What do you think of those apples? I like that one. So I have no problem with it. I know a lot of people bitch at everything. It doesn't matter who it is. If you would have put up Migos or Sugarland or the Zac Brown Band or whoever, people to come up, Drake or, it's awful, it's horrible. You could have picked. You can't please anybody. The internet is for everybody to bitch, whine, and moan. It's our sounding off board. From social justice warriors to people just like to complain about the weather. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. A lot of stuff still to get to. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Brett Kavanaugh I know dated my sister and some of my closest friends during high school and college, all of whom said that he treated them with nothing but total respect and decency, to the point where he remains close friends with them today.
Megan McCabe right there, longtime friend of Brett Kavanaugh. And, this shouldn't be an us versus thing. This us versus them, right versus wrong, right, tribalism, left, right. It should be right or wrong. And people say, I believe. It's like, I believe him, I believe her. I believe in due process. I do. I believe in due process. I believe that we need to figure out exactly what happened here to the best of our ability. Because let's be real, it's 35 years ago. That's a long time. 35 years, right? So let's do the best we can with what we got. But before we say I believe or you know what? I believe in due process and I believe in truth. Outside of that, the rest of it means nothing. Because of a movement or because of a political ideology, I don't care. I believe in truth and due process. I think that due process should take its place here, but I think there should be a time limit. All right. This isn't a 10-month investigation. There isn't DNA samples. There isn't all kinds of things that they're going to have to do with lab work and this, that, and the other. It is going to be, we're going to interview a couple people. If the FBI, if Trump says, hey, FBI, go do this. That's it. That is it. That is it. Now, apparently they've said, hey, look, you've got till Wednesday to let us know. And then people say, well, there's a new timeline. I don't care about the timelines. When she shows up, she shows up, if she shows up at all. Politics, you could say Monday is it, and I have news for you. Something could change, right? You could say, no, it's got to be by Wednesday. When she shows up, she shows up. But I would give a deadline of, hey, if we don't get anything by Thursday at close of business for us, we're voting Friday. That's it. We've extended every olive branch. We have said we would do everything we possibly can. There's nothing else that we can do at this point in time short of an FBI investigation. I doubt Trump's going to agree to that. I think he should. But you know what? I'm not president of these here United States of America. So it is what it is. So we will see what happens. Maybe, maybe not. It's going to be interesting. It really is. But when people say, I believe her, I believe him, I believe truth and due process. Due process is there. She wants to have nobody essentially cross-examining her, no lawyers cross-examining her. She could be under oath. That's all. I think that's a vital, important thing. Remember, was it about a month ago? Was it Zuckerberg? Remember when he went in and spoke, but he didn't do it under oath? She wants all of these assurances, and I'm okay with that, to a certain extent. But at some point in time, I'm going to pass, right? Like if you want, short of you saying, hey, we want you to believe her only and call him a liar, can we just, stop it, right? Enough. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. And I love it. We've got Chad Benson Show TV, or television, which is on the old YouTube. You can find us at Instagram and wherever, good social media is available. Speaking of social media.
So you got handcuffs behind your back?
Handcuffed behind my back.
Yeah. It's not only the charges dismissed yesterday just as her trial was starting that the mom questions.
I would like answers on why it got so far and how it got to this far where this happened within my home. I was disciplining my child, and then I'm being the one handcuffed.
Arrested, according to records, the day before Mother's Day on a misdemeanor theft charge.
A misdemeanor theft charge. Now, why would she, a mom, be arrested for a misdemeanor theft charge? What could a mom in today's age do? Think about this. She's a mom, so that should give you a hint right there. Oh, wait till you hear this.
The mom told us that she took the iPhone 6 from her 15-year-old daughter in April after the girl got in trouble in school. Ron France, the prosecutor, refused to go on camera, but in an exchange of emails said the mom never told the original deputies that she had taken the phone away to punish her daughter. In fact, nothing like that is mentioned in the report. But the mom told us she did tell that to the original deputy.
Think about that for a second. Kids know now, like, I just call the police, like it just, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, South Park did this parody of kids know their rights to the point where they wanted to get rid of all of the parents. So they all called the police and said they were being molested or abused, and the parents were all taken away so the kids could kind of run the town. This is insane, right? Like, can we all just kind of agree that this is insane? Like, oh, I got an idea. I'm going to call because mom took away my cell phone. Mom took away my fun. Mom's punishing me. And because of that, boom. And you would think, oh, this can't be real. It's real. It is real.
Jody May, who has remarried, says she was nursing her 4-week-old baby on May 12th when an Ottawa County deputy knocked on her door.
He had told me that he was going to arrest me, and I asked him if I could turn myself in on that Monday by myself. I had a new baby. She wasn't taking a bottle yet.
The deputy took her to jail.
I was in a holding cell.
So you were in a holding cell?
Yes.
For how long?
2 hours.
Until she posted a $200 bond.
I was mortified. I was embarrassed.
Yeah, I would be mortified and embarrassed too. So you're arrested, taken to jail, and this all has to do with what? This all has to do with a kid and a phone and a dispute.
Her ex-husband, who reported the alleged theft, told deputies that he owned the phone. But the mom says the phone belonged to her daughter, a gift from her ex-husband. Just minutes into yesterday's trial, the assistant prosecutor announced it was indeed the daughter's phone, not the ex-husband's. So the case was dismissed.
But you see what they're doing. I mean, that's how far it goes. Well, it's the husband. And this is what happens. And I tell people, like divorces and domestic disputes and all of these things, it's insane nowadays. What I don't know. I don't know how people do it. Lawyers do it when they sit there and watch the way that people fight over stuff. But it was the girl's phone. It wasn't the girl's phone. And the police somehow, you know, I love watching Live PD and I see what they go through. Like, can we all just, if you've not watched Live PD, do we all agree? First of all, it's a great show, right? So it is. Secondly, it is to some of the stuff that police have to deal with that we think we only hear about the police when there's something goes wrong, right? Like somebody there's an unarmed black man that gets shot and all of a sudden becomes this big thing and the police are bad and there's a right versus left, us versus them. Then you watch that show and you realize, like I watched it a couple weeks ago, where a cop comes and pulls a lady over because she didn't signal the way she should have signaled. And it was, you know, it's right here in Arizona. And she goes off and she's screaming racism. She's yelling at him. She's her parents, because it's right in front of her house. And her parents are out there and they feel like, oh, God, right? And it was because she had a dream catcher or something that was so big and he just wanted to tell her, look, take that down. But she went off on him and you're just like, okay, this is ridiculous. So, they go through stuff that because every time they're pulling off, it's rarely is it something great. They're not giving us, hey, you're a really good person ticket. Or they're not coming to you because of a situation where like, hey, we just wanted to call you and say you're a great person. So when they show up or when something happens, they're there. And the crazy stuff that people put police officers through on a day-to-day basis is just, it is so nuts. It really is. It is crazy. And I feel for them. And here's the person who gets taken to jail over a cell phone that belonged to her daughter. And it's just, oh.
But the mom says the phone belonged to her daughter, a gift from her ex-husband.
So the phone belongs to the daughter, a gift from their ex-husband. They finally throw it out. And you say to yourself, do we really need to do that? But in this day and age, I see it all the time with the insanity of kids are not afraid to call on somebody. They know, hey, we know our rules. We know our rights. It's nuts. It really is nuts. I couldn't even imagine. Like, I think about Jack right now, right? Like, I think about Jack. Jack's 8 years old. He's at that point in life where he's asking, Dad, when do I get a phone? And I'm like, no, not there. Sorry, brother. Not there. You know, 10, 11, I think a lot of it has to do with maturity and what kind of phone you give him, right? Because people are like, well, why would you do that? You know what? For him and I, it would just be easier because, you know, we could text back and forth and we could talk without having to go through his mom. And that to me is okay. The other side of it is, it's like, well, you know, what if he can get on the internet? Well, he's got a tablet, so we can do all those things now. So it would be more convenient for me. But it's weird. Like, when do you give a kid a phone? Like, what's a good age? But I think it's the maturity of the kid, too. It really is. But then you start thinking to yourself, we already, like, all parents, I think, and if you're a parent out there, you battle right now with your kids, I'm sure. Like, tablet time is reward time. You battle with your kids. It's interesting to see how people go about doing stuff. And I see it with my little brothers and sisters, especially my little brothers with the tablets. It's very, very interesting, the fight that goes on with that. It's because they're addicted. But man, I tell you what, like, I've been there and we've taken the tablet away and they'll look and they'll say, we're going to call the police on you. Just like, wow. If I did that as a kid, if I looked my dad or mom in the face, if I was 10 years old or 11 years old, and said, we're going to call the police on you because they took away my favorite Stretch Armstrong or whatever, they'd have knocked me across the room. I would have woken up 3 days later and thought, why was I sleeping? It's abuse, Chad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. People tweeting in about Kavanaugh and all of this stuff. And Chad, you know, you got to pick a side. No, you don't have to pick a side. Stop saying sides. Stop being tribal, right? Stop being tribal. For an instance, say, okay, well, the side should be truth. And understand, too, if you're on the left, and this is something that is vitally important, is how many of you out there are going to believe for a second, How many of you out there are going to believe anything that the FBI may come back with? If it goes against, if you will, her. Probably not a lot, because in the end, it's about the ends justify the mean. But I would like due process as much as possible. And I don't think there's going to be an FBI investigation. And even if there was, I don't think it's going to take much more than a couple days, because there's no DNA samples. There's no crime scene. You're going to talk to a few witnesses, and then you're going to go from there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Car Shield is amazing. I love it. You love it. Why do you love it? Because you don't have to worry about the what ifs when it comes to your car. That's why you out there who haven't gotten it, you need to get it, and it's simple and easy. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you take your car in for a routine oil change, and how many things nowadays are actually routine? Very few. So you go in there, you take your car, and bing, bing, they come out, and they say, hey, guess what? There's an issue with your car. You're like, duh. And you realize you don't have a warranty, and you like your car, and you don't know what to do because of, oh my goodness. With Car Shield, you don't have to worry about any of that. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car while your car's in the shop for free, and you get to choose the shop your car gets repaired in, which is vitally important, because so many of us, you don't trust some of these. They send you to these places to get the car fixed, and you're like, they're just looking to get you out. Car Shield wants it done right. They make the entire process of fixing car for a cover repair super easy. So here's what you do. You call today, 800-CAR-6100. You're going to get extended vehicle protection like I did. When you do, use code Benson. That saves you 10%. It's 800-CAR-6100, 800-CAR-6100. Or visit carshield.com. That's carshield.com. Use code Benson. It saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. Movies are out this weekend. We'll touch on that. And who's the most powerful person in Hollywood? Chad Benson Show.
While pointless pundits ponder what was, Chad wisely wonders, what's next?
4 new movies opening wide.
You'll see, it's quite different here.
Jack Black's fantasy adventure, The House with a Clock in Its Walls, will likely make the most money, somewhere around $20 million. Kate Blanchett co-stars. The rest probably won't break $10 million.
Try to impeach him.
Michael Moore's anti-Trump documentary, Fahrenheit 11/9, the satirical thriller Assassination Nation, and the star-packed dramedy Life Itself from This Is Us creator Dan Fogelman.
Life itself tricks us.
With the cast including Olivia Wilde, Oscar Isaac, and Annette Bening.
Bleh. I'm going to go see, actually, the kids' movie tomorrow. Kind of excited about that, because I like Goosebumps. And it's weird, because Goosebumps 2 is coming out. And this is kind of like Goosebumps, but it's not Goosebumps. Jack Black was in Goosebumps. It's an odd thing, but I'm going to go check it out, because you know what? I like that stuff. I like movies. And with Fahrenheit 9/11, I want to see how Fahrenheit 11/9 does. It's going to be interesting, right? Like according to Box Office Mojo, which is usually pretty accurate, they're looking at a weekend of it really maybe doing 6 million, so, and with him, hey, you never know, kids, right? Like, 'cause this is what it's about. This is like, and Bush wasn't as controversial and or as divisive as this guy. You would have figured this movie would have brought in 50 million, but hey, we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So the Hollywood Reporters come out with their list like the most powerful celebs. Oddly enough, number 100 is Ronan Farrow. So, which is interesting. Probably also the most hated celebs in some ways, at least when it comes to executives in some, because of his reporting. And I was saying he's probably the most honest reporter that's out there next to TMZ's people. And then a lot of them are people you've probably never heard of. Tom Cruise is 96, right? But a lot of them it's Michael B. Jordan, Meryl Streep are there, but a lot of them are people that you've never, ever heard of. And when I went down there and I started looking at some of these people, really what it is, and when you talk about power, you're talking about being able to walk into a studio or to walk in and get get a movie made, get something green lit. It's very interesting. But what's changed over the last umpteen years is Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, all of these independent. LeBron James is 75 because he's a producer and he's got a lot of stuff coming out, and he's an actor. And I will say, man, was it Trainwreck or whatever? He was really good in that, actually. He was really good at this. But the top 5 are mostly people you've never heard of. And if they walked into a room, you would not recognize any one of these people. Case in point, number 5 is Kevin Feige. Who? Marvel Studios, right? Sherry Redstone. National Amusements. Yeah, who? Yeah, you never heard of her. John Stanley. Or Stanky. Never heard of him. Nope, probably not. Warner Media. But then you've got the number 2 guys, which is Reed Hastings and Ted Sarandos. Who are they? Netflix. Reed Hastings is the dude that founded Netflix. Number 1 is Bob Iger, and if he walked into your place of work right now, you would have no idea who he is, and he's the most powerful man. He runs Walt Disney. Actors and actresses aren't what they used to be as far as the power goes. They don't wield it anymore. It's now studio heads and producers. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. What do you think of the Kavanaugh stuff? I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Give me your honest opinion. What can the Republicans do to make it easier? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I believe Dr. Blasey Ford because she's telling the truth.
Well, I've heard, many predators say and refute allegations against them.
I think she's credible. I think a majority of senators will find her credible.
Do you believe her story?
Well, I can tell you it really does have a ring of truth to it.
I believe Dr. Ford, as I refer to her, because she makes a very credible case.
I believe Dr. Ford, the survivor. There's every reason to disbelieve Judge Kavanaugh.
We might be putting someone who committed attempted rape on the Supreme Court of the United States.
For me, there is no debate. I believe Professor Ford.
I believe truth and I believe in due process. Anybody else? Anyone? Anyone? That right there was a montage of people that believe Professor Ford.
How many of you believe Judge Kavanaugh when he says this didn't happen?
I believe him.
I do believe him.
I believe him.
How can we believe the word of a woman, something that happened 36 years ago, when this guy has an impeccable reputation? And there's nobody that has spoken ill will about him. Everyone that speaks about him, this guy's an altar boy, a scout. He's, because one woman made an allegation. Sorry, I don't buy it.
That is people who also apparently believe based on, the one thing about him that she doesn't have is all this information that's been gathered. So there's that and 65 letters from women and all of these things. So there is that. But, it still doesn't mean that he can't be a scumbag, right? That's that. But, or at least was at that point in time. I look at somebody and say, if we're going to damn somebody if we're going to damn boys at 17 and 16 and 15 and girls at 15, 16, 17 for things they did when they were kids, then all of us should probably turn ourselves in. Can we, apparently there's a new deadline, 10 o'clock tonight. If not, they vote Monday. I have to be completely honest with you. I think these deadlines are meaningless at this point in time. I think they're going to give her through at least Wednesday or Thursday of next. I could be wrong. But they've changed. It's got to be, we've got to know by Wednesday, and it's already changed. So these deadlines mean absolutely nothing until something is done. That's the way. Until she's there, it's like the internet, right? If you saw something and you tell everybody you saw it and nobody took a picture of it and it wasn't put on Instagram or something like that, then it didn't happen. It doesn't happen, right? It doesn't. Okay, here's the story, right? I saw those two twins that were on TV, right? I forgot I forgot the name of them, like Brittany and Bailey or whatever they're called. And I saw them, and everybody's like, you didn't see him. I'm like, I did see him. Like, you didn't see him. I'm like, I totally did see him. Like, you didn't see him. Because I didn't take a picture of it, because I thought it was weird. Right? But that's what I'm saying. Until I see it, I don't believe it. You can give me 10 deadlines, and as we've known with government, red lines and deadlines mean very, very little. So we'll see what happens. But due process, can somebody raise your hand if you believe in due process? You, okay, fantastic. Insanity's here. Could somebody raise your hand if you believe in truth? All right, there we go. Now, it's got to be the FBI. There's all of these conditions, right? They have to be met here and have to be met there under the right terms. What are those right terms? Well, it depends. They've changed on in several days. They've changed on numerous occasions. Several instances, they've gone from this to that. It's this to that. And I only want this and I don't want that. And it's got to be fair, and it's got to be, of course, it has to be all of those things. On who can and can't ask questions, and she doesn't want like an attorney to ask questions. She doesn't want him in the room. He has every right to be there, right? You got to face your accuser, all of these things. It's a stall tactic. In the end, I want everybody to understand this, right? Like, no woman or man's or child's allegations should ever be completely thrown out. That's insane. You absolutely 100% have to give it real. You have to look at something and say, I have to give this real attention, and I have to take this really serious, and I have to look at these allegations. But it should be based on, I think you're a swell guy. No. I think she's a swell gal. No. It should be based on, I'm going to give due process to the party here, and I'm going to look at this, and I want to find out the truth, not who I think is telling the truth, based on my feelings, based on my political ideology, but the actual truth. That's it. That's it. Not politics, and that's what this is in the end. It's politics. And I feel that the Democrats have really thrown this woman to the lions as the last hope to stop this from happening. As we talked about how generational a pick can be, it's very interesting that it came out the way it did, and that she didn't want any publicity. She doesn't like it, but she went to the Washington Post, and that Feinstein for 2 months had this letter and talked to him and never brought it up because it was a Hail Mary. They want to run out the clock. I think we all know that. That's the goal here. Run out the clock, win the Senate, stop any confirmation from happening, hope you win 2020, hope you hold on to the Senate, put the person you want, and generationally it'll swing to your side. That's what this is all about. She means nothing. It could have been anybody. Insert person here, as long as we have an opportunity to take him down, we don't care. And when we're done with insert person here, we can throw them out and we move on with our life. Because by any means necessary. She deserves to have a fair hearing. Well, there needs to be. I love, like, I get a bunch of tweets and texts. She needs an investigation. Okay, so who's investigating it? Well, the FBI. Well, that's not their job. Right? It's not a federal crime. Well, Trump can do it. And I believe Trump should say, you know what? Let's do this. And this will, and somebody says to me the other day, it was actually yesterday. I said, well, how long do you think it'll go on? Oh, at least 2 or 3 months. I'm like, for what? Well, for them to gather all the information and everything and the data they need and all of the stuff. And I'm like, as I've tried to explain to people, this isn't a cold case. There's no file cabinet in the corner where, some grizzled detective is taking it out going, I never solved this one. This is not happening. There was nothing to report. So you're going to interview 3, potentially 4 people, which is fine. I mean, that's giving them what she wants. And then from there, you write up a little report. This isn't like, well, we need to take DNA samples. We need to get it off to the lab. There's a rape kit. There's none of that. So it shouldn't take more than a few days, and then they can, hand in something. And even at that point in time, if you're a Democrat, you don't care. You're just stalling for as long as you can. That's it. You're stalling, hoping the clock runs out. That is all that you're doing. And even if they come back and they say, hey, guess what? Here it is. And Chuck Grassley would say, well, they did it. They looked into it. There's nothing according to the FBI. There's nothing according to the FBI. Do you think anybody on the left is going to believe that? No. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't. Not one bit. Not one. No, because it's not about guilt or innocence. It's about stopping him. Oh, Chad, you're just a man. And so that's, I'm like, you know what? Enough with that. All right. I don't, enough. God, just get over it. Get over it. Somebody tweets at us, credible people lie every day. Absolutely. He could be lying. He could be lying. And he said, that's the reason we have due process. Yes, he could absolutely be lying. But what they're trying to do is say credible people lie every day, and he doesn't deserve due process because we know, because we talked to her or we read a letter or, and they're, no. Let as much due process go as can go. Because let's, again, be honest with ourselves. There's only so much that they can do. Because there isn't a cold case file. There isn't some big file somewhere in the back in that metal file cabinet, It's just not. But at some point in time, the Republicans do have to stand up and say, all right, here's the deal. We've extended every olive branch. We've offered every concession as much as we can do, as humanly possible. And she doesn't want to testify potentially under oath. That's a red, to me, that's like a red flag. That's a sign. So all of this, at some point in time, you have to say, look, here it is. We're going to vote. That's it. Is what it is. You can throw a fit. You can do everything. But we're going to do this. I don't say you give it to her to tonight. I say you give it to her till Wednesday. And then if she doesn't want to come Thursday, then you vote Friday. It's that simple. They're saying tonight, but those things will change. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Sometimes credible people lie every day. 100%. I think we all know that. We do. But due process and truth are the only thing that matters. And even at that point in time, how much truth are we going to get from memories from 35 years ago? Although I saw today, and I posted an article, we're close. Phil, did you see that? They could start to load stuff into people's brains now. That's how they're really close to doing the Matrix. Oh, dude, sign me up.
I don't know. I'm terrified.
Soon. Wow,
I think I'm with you on this. I don't think I'm going to go on the first time. I think I'll wait for them to.
No, yeah, I'm not going on the first time. Yeah, that's a smart idea. I want to see how good somebody's been like, wow, Jim learned ninjutsu in Spanish in 30 seconds. You're like, that's awesome. Or it's like, oh, Jim drools now, and he walks into walls. We're like, okay, we'll get it fixed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Dollar Shave Club is amazing. It really, really is. Men or women, black or white, political affiliation, we don't care. Dollar Shave Club. We just want you to become a member, right? So you may shave your whole body, right? Because you're a bike racer or maybe a swimmer. Right? You may be going out there saying, I got a soccer match and I want to look my best this weekend, because part of how you play is how you feel and how you look. Trust me, I know. That's why they got the best hair care products. Doesn't matter. They've got it. You name it, they've got it. Daily Essential Starter Set, that's what you start with. They got a few different ones, right? So that's what I recommend. You start with the Daily Essential Starter Set. You can't go wrong with any of them. They got a few of them. I went with the Amber Lavender Body Cleanser, which is great, but doesn't really matter. There's no wrong answer here. They got a hilarious commercial. Check out the new video they've got up. Join today, $5, free shipping. After that, everything ships at normal price. You're going to love Everything about them. You're going to get the best ingredients and amazing products. They're not going to break the bank, and that is awesome. DollarShaveClub.com/Chad. 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 At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Where do you hear about what California is doing with a certain thing that all of us, if you go through a drive-thru or to a restaurant, you get? Where do you hear what they're doing now? We're going to talk about that at the bottom of the hour. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Darn, that climate change. Batten down the hatches. It's Topical Storm Chad, headed your way.
We are alive, awake, and we are woke.
People are embarrassed and ashamed of who he is, and that come Election Day, we're going to stand up at the polls and let him know.
That's Rosie O'Donnell, who, by the way, apparently is upset at Chuck Grassley for being 85 and thinks that, Chuck Grassley should be. And I've said I like term limits, and I joke about the fact that, it's a bit old, right? Like that just feels like, and she said, hey, we don't let our grandparents, cut the turkey at 85. But she fails to mention Pelosi, 78, Biden, 75, Hillary, 70, Bernie, Kerry. All, it's not just the right. It's the left, too. Does she feel the same way? Right? That's how tribal we are. It's like even with this thing with what's her name? With Christine Blasey Ford, Dr. Ford, whatever I call her Dr. Ford. It shouldn't be right versus left. It should be right versus wrong. Right? It should be about the truth. But we're blind. We have blinders on when it comes to things like, hey, Chuck Grassley's too old. I joke about the fact that Feinstein and Chuck Grassley, they're so old that they voted on stuff about the dinosaurs. And, it's, Chad, you can't. Yeah, I can. Is that ageism? I'm joking, obviously. They seem to be okay. Look, there are 90-year-olds who are with it, and there are 50-year-olds who aren't. But it's part of it is that insanity of we have to pick our tribes, and that's the only thing that matters, and we will defend our tribes at all costs because we've wrapped ourselves in the whatever, the red, the blue, the right, the left. It's a bunch of crap. Hey, I need new sneakers. I do. I need new shoes. I've been looking around for some new shoes. These are not them.
This is the latest trend in confusing designer fashion.
Oh, yeah.
For just over $500, ladies, you can own these pre-scuffed sneakers with a taped-up toe. Take a look. Nordstrom is selling them. They're from an Italian brand called Golden Goose. Some people obviously are making jokes. One person pointed out free shipping, though.
$500 for shoes that look like a homeless person found them in the garbage. With duct tape on it. It's amazing. Right? Do you think people sit around and go, let's see what I can get away with? Let's see. Remember, was it a few years ago? Producer film, maybe it was the jeans, right? Where they were putting dirt on the jeans to look like you'd worked outside. Yeah. And they were selling for like $1,000. This is part of that idiocracy. Like, how did we get here? And you wonder why we're fighting over all these things. Somebody's willing to go. The same person that tells us our white, privilege that goes out there and talks about all of this stuff is the same person that's bitching about capitalism on their iPhone and buying $530 for 10 scuffed shoes with a tear in them and duct tape. Oh, my Lord. Speaking of insanity. Oh, kids, we're just getting started. Should be Insane Friday. So I've got a drink right here. It has a straw in it. What do you hear what California is doing as of today? Hold your hats, kids. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
So, for the last umpteen months, I've heard how the world's coming to an end and all of this stuff is going to happen. It's only because of one man, Donald Trump. And because of that man, he is, of course, as we all know, evil, and he must go away. But until then, these celebrities are going to flee, and run away. And it doesn't happen. And I posted some on Facebook today. You can see on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and you know, Chad Benson Show TV on the old YouTube and elsewhere. And it's crazy, right? And what I look at you is, if your whole premise is, I don't like Donald Trump, and because of that, I'm going to take my ball, I'm going to go home. Or I'm going to take my talent, I'm going to move somewhere else until things are better. And once I get what I like, then I will come back. To me, you're a bandwagon patriot, is what you are. You're a bandwagon American. That's all you are. You're the person who can't stand the fact that you know what I saw last night? The Cleveland Browns won a football game. It was 635 days since they last won a football game. President Barack Obama was president since the last time they won a football game. Think about that. You know what I saw? A bunch of people that were there last night in tears because they lived through the misery of 1-31, something like that, over the last 2 years. They didn't win a game last year. And before that, they won one game on a Christmas Eve at a last-second field goal. That, to me, was telling. You saw a bunch of people there, right? Through it, thick and thin. Through thick and thin. But you hear celebrities come out and they rail against the president, blah, 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 blah.
But that's just calling him a CEO. Because what head of business believes in democracy? They don't run their businesses. Capitalism isn't democracy. You know, it's about the few rule the many. And the many are to do their work, shut up, keep their heads down, don't cause too much trouble, and make us a lot of money. He comes from that class. And he doesn't think being president should be any different than him being the CEO of his own company.
I hate some of these people.
Yeah, well, you know what? First of all, democracy is mob rule, and that's why our founding fathers like, we should be a republic, because this is not going to end well. But whatever, it is what it is. And he's threatened now, because this movie comes out today, right? You know, Fahrenheit 11/9, that he's going to leave if some stuff goes wrong, and he may have to flee to Canada. And like, I don't even know if Canada really wants you, but whatever. And it makes me laugh because, you know, all of these stars have come out. I'm leaving. And go ahead. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Good luck to you. I wish you all the best. Rather than sit here and go, you know what? I at least can admire somebody who goes, you know what? I love my country, and I may not like who is our president, right? Who this person's our president right now. He is the president, right? And I will resist, and I may not like how you resist. I may like the things you say. I may like the craziness, but at least I can admire you for going, I'm going to leave the country. I'm taking my ball and I'm going to go home. And what do you think of those apples? And it's funny because on the other side of things, they always advocate for the little person, right? They're advocating for the little person. They're advocating for the underserved and all of these things. All the while, they're completely overserved, if you will. They're completely narcissistic. They have all of the advantages of the first world and then some. They live in ivory towers. They're untouchable, and they want to leave all the people you claim to care about. They're not leaving. They can't. They can't. But you're willing to take the ball that you brought and go home. And that shows me everything I need to know about you. Everything I need to know about you. Very, very sad. Very sad. You're a fair weather, bandwagon American or patriot or whatever you think you are. That's all you are. So if you want to pick up your ball, you pick up your stuff, grab your ball, and you want to go somewhere else, knock yourself out. But it shows everything about you that you are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So there's a new law in California kicked off today. And it's about straws.
You may have heard that California is trying to ban plastic straws, but you might not have heard why. The motive for the law goes back to a statistic that Americans use and throw away 500 million straws every day. But do we? You heard that statistic from CNN, The Washington Post, Reuters, The Los Angeles Times, and a whole bunch of others. And if so many big outlets are citing it, it must be real, right? Not quite. The statistic came from a 9-year-old boy.
No way. Yeah. 9-year-old boy. 9-year-old. Statistic came from a 9-year-old boy. Okay. Remember what, like, climate changes and environment and stuff? Remember what that is. By the way, I've got a straw right here. We got a couple of them. It is what it is. But do you remember what a lot of this stuff is about? It's about feelings. It's never about facts. And you can go over and you can 97%, which is it's been debunked 100 times. And no matter how many, and even when you show somebody that it's been debunked, that was based on a 2-question questionnaire, many of which weren't climatologists or people who specialized in any of this stuff. And then it weeded down and it went from 10,000 people, of which a majority never even answered, down to like 77. And then that was where we went. You just sit there and you're like, oh, God. But it's all about things that they just throw stuff out there because it feels good. And in the end, it's feelings over facts. And that's the sad thing where we are in this country more. It's all about these feelings. I've got feelings. Here are my feelings. I got feelings. Your data doesn't matter. My feelings matter. And it's great. But it's a straw, right? Like it's a straw. And what they're going to do now, it's just mind-boggling. So this kid comes up with this, right? And it's great. Here's where I side on the side of let's not crap where you eat, right? Like let's make our environment better. I want clean air. I want clean water. I also don't want to destroy the economy. So there's that too, right? I want clean air and water. I don't want to destroy the economy. I think that we can, it sounds great. We're going to have all of this energy and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be naturally produced and this, that, and the other. But I live in the world of reality and my car needs to go from point A to point B and it takes gas, right? And for all of you out there who's going, well, I've got myself a Tesla or I've got myself a Prius and stuff. And I'm like, and I'm clean for the environment. And then I ask you, how do you get it? And you're like, electricity is. And how does electricity get made? Do we have an electricity catcher? And you're like, oh, coal. Urgh. So, which is fine, whatever. But at some point in time, could maybe we question some of this stuff?
The boy, Milo Kress, came up with a number by conducting phone surveys of straw manufacturers in 2011. Since then, no one has questioned his statistic, and California's law would have some scary effects if it goes through as is. For instance, unless a customer specifically asks for a straw, it will be a criminal offense for a restaurant to give them one.
Yeah, criminal offense. So what normally happens? So you're a waiter or waitress and you roll on up, right? And you're in Santa Barbara. You're working at a Mexican restaurant. You're a college kid or whatever. You roll on up. What's the normally thing you do? There's a glass of water. You put a couple straws down and you say, all right, can I start you guys off with something to drink? Well, be careful.
The city of Santa Barbara has already authorized jail time or a $1,000 fine for handing out straws on a per straw basis. So if a waiter hands out straws to a family of 6, he could get fined $6,000 or get years in prison.
Which you would think that wouldn't happen, but we hear about stuff like this all the time. And here's the thing. While it may not happen in mass, it may happen once or twice. Somebody's going to go, this is stupid. I'm going to challenge it. And there's going to be a judge or somebody out there who's an activist to say, I'm going to have to show that we mean business and we're going to do something like this. That, to me, is the sad part. And could you imagine being in jail, right? Just for a moment, you're in jail, right? Whether you're in jail or you actually have to go to prison because you hand out 6 straws and you're doing real hard time. So you're in a place where you are captive with other criminals, some of which are there for doing not nice things to other people. And you have to tell them the reason that you're behind bars is because you gave somebody who ordered a Sprite a straw and they didn't ask for it. And there's going to be people out there that not only that may not challenge it, but there's going to be the opposite side too, where people are going to go places in hopes that somebody hands something out. I hope somebody gives me something. So that way I can then run and tell somebody, I got a straw.
But how much of the annual global plastic waste is actually made up of straws? According to Reason magazine, 0.02%.
That's us.
So if California goes in this direction, people are going to go to prison and lose their livelihoods for the sake of a ban that doesn't really do anything.
Because none of these things ever do. And then we're told every day that the world's coming to an end. We're told every day through Al Gore and all of these other people, you're a climate denier. Call me whatever the hell you want to call. I don't care. I'm just a person looking at common sense, right? It's global warming. It's global cooling. It's climate change. It's all of these things. I want a better, cleaner climate. I'm all about that. And I want it done in a reasonable, responsible way that we don't destroy the economy in hopes of doing something that you think is going to happen when the reality is it's not happening. It's not. It's not happening. Polar ice caps, according to NOAA, right? NASA and all these, well, maybe they're not as shrinking as fast. And what about the pause in this part of this time frame? And polar bears were disappearing, but wait a minute, there's more than ever. I mean, all of these, because it feels good, right? It's all about, and you want to be the right side. Here's the thing. For many of us, we want to be on the right side of feels good, right? Well, who was it? Was it George Carlin that said, everybody loves the truth until you start telling the truth about somebody, then you're an a-hole? That's kind of what it is. I want to feel good. I want to feel good about our environment. I think there have been too many people have taken advantage of loopholes and have done things that are awful, that have hurt our environment. But at the same time, there are people out there, and this is my thing, when you weaponize science, which is what's going on, and then at the tip of the spear or the barrel of the gun, you try to force people into control over things. That's the problem I have. That's the problem I have. And to think for a moment that we would waste our time, our valuable court time, with somebody going before a judge and having to get a lawyer and potentially paying fines and or doing probation and or doing something like because of a straw is ridiculous. It's stupid, but it is the world we live in. And because of that, many people think, well, more polar bears are going to live because it's a straw. And look what we've done. I feel good. I'm on the right side of feeling good. It's ridiculous. It really is. And by the way, you will have no street cred in prison if you're the straw man. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So do you think that'd be like, that sounds like a serial killer name though, right? Like that's I'm the straw man. It's like, oh, better watch out. He's a straw dude. And then they'll find out later, dude, you're the straw guy because you gave out straws. You're not the straw guy because you're some sort of badass. Oh, you guys caught me. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo!
That is when Southwest Harbor Lobster Pound wants to do. Charlotte Gill, the owner of Charlotte's legendary Lobster Pound, is a registered medical marijuana caregiver. She says that she blew marijuana smoke into a box where she had a lobster, and the crustacean was calmer. Gill plans to use that method to sedate lobsters before cooking them at her customers' requests. That's because she says it's a bit more humane.
Now, Phil, you're the resident seafood folk here on the Chad Benson Show, knowing full well I do not eat seafood at all. So they cook lobsters live, which really seems like just an awful thing, considering the fact that they share kind of the same nervous system we do. So that cannot be good.
No, but can I get a joint and let the lobster die?
How about we get stoned, Mr. Lobster, and I'll just set you free. That's weird, right? Oh, and and for those of you guys to understand that we like the same kind of like drugs that people use for depression and mood and whatnot, they work on lobsters as well. So we share essentially the same system. And so, yeah, maybe getting them high is not a bad thing. Speaking of drugs and animules.
The researchers were studying social behavior in octopuses and found ecstasy makes them super touchy. They determined this by dunking the octopuses in water spiked with MDMA, also known as Molly, the popular club drug. Then they watched the rolling octopuses in a tank hug an overturned flower pot that had another octopus inside. with all 8 legs. Octopuses that weren't drugged weren't so interested in the flower pot. The researchers say this could help them understand our own brain's fear circuitry, even if we're separated from octopuses by 500 million years of evolution.
Somebody got a grant for that. Somebody got a grant for that. Somebody got a grant like, hey, I got a great idea, dude. We're going to get a bunch of ecstasy. And no, check this out. Like, Jim's got a white lab coat, so this would be perfect. Steve, man, he's got the lab coat. His dad's awesome. And we're going to get a bunch of octopuses high on ecstasy. And maybe we'll give them the date rape drug and see how that works. I mean, how weird is that? That is so odd that we would, sometimes you just sit back and you think to yourself, man. So people are putting out music, even though they're no longer with us. We're going to get a first listen to the first one that is going to be releasing music, and that would be Prince.
Piano and a microphone. 1983 is just that. Prince sitting at a piano and a microphone for 35 minutes. Baby, don't you weep. 9 tracks, including an early version of Purple Rain. The whole thing is said to be a one-take recording, which had been floating around for years among collectors and bootleggers. It was dug out of Prince's vault, pulled and remastered from an unmarked cassette tape, and it features a couple of unreleased tracks. The video for this song, Mary Don't You Weep, just came out yesterday with an anti-gun violence message.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to watch that. So Chris Cornell has his music's going to be coming out. And then you've got Tom Petty apparently has a library as well of music from, how should I say it? It's from the dead, right? From beyond the grave. Man, that didn't sound, well, like, you're wondering, like with Prince, because the whole thought process with Prince, right, is he has like 1 million songs that are completely, so we're going to go with this one first? Who gets to decide that? Are they still fighting? Aren't they still fighting over his estate? That's another thing, because I don't think that thing's ever been settled too. So who gets to decide, gets to release what? You can keep the money. I'll take the music, because I know with the music long term, I get the money. Man, that's great. And Chris Cornell. And now Linkin Park's going to be doing some stuff too, but I don't know if they had any finished stuff. So this is going to be a year of coming up and Tom Petty. Tom Petty apparently had quite a catalog of unfinished stuff. So that's going to be very interesting as well.
Heck, Michael Jackson's releasing an album he didn't even sing on.
Called Milli Vanilli. Does anybody out there remember Milli Vanilli? Anybody remember Rob and Fab? And they won that just shows you how cheesy award shows are. Didn't they win the Grammy Award or the American Music Award for like Best New Artist?
Best New Artist, which is always a kiss of death.
Always the kiss of death. Oh, my Lord. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us on this Happy Friday. Man. You got Prince, Chris Cornell. Who else? Tiny Tim? Anybody? Maybe Robin Fab? Although one of them's not there. It's just Millie now, I think. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I believe Dr. Blasey Ford because she's telling the truth.
Well, I've heard, many predators say and refute allegations against them.
I think she's credible. I think a majority of senators will find her credible.
Do you believe her story?
Well, I could tell you it really does have a ring of truth to it.
I believe Dr. Ford, as I refer to her, because she makes a very credible case.
I believe Dr. Ford, the survivor. There's every reason to disbelieve Judge Kavanaugh.
We might be putting someone who committed attempted rape on the Supreme Court of the United States.
For me, there is no debate. I believe Professor Ford.
I love when there's no debate. That's solid. Solid. Lynch him. Put him up, right? Old time. Posse. Everybody get together. Let's put him up.
Hey, Chad.
It's not the way it works. Due process, right? Is there anything wrong with due process? Anything. Anything wrong with due process? But, Chad, they're not giving her a fair shake. I think they are giving her a fair shake. I do. And yesterday I was reading some with Kristen Gillibrand, who is just, she's badass, right? Like, she was like, if she has a hearing, it's silencing her. If she doesn't have the FBI checking into it, it's silencing her. Basically, everything is silencing her. I think she's not silenced. I don't think she is at all. And I want her to have a hearing. I want this due process. I want all of it to be transparent. Now, we don't need to see all of it, right? Although I've said it over and over again. If I'm her, I want it in public. And the reason I want it in, first of all, we already know what happened, according to the things that you put out and they've leaked. But here's the other thing. You're going to look at the optics. To me, the optics are having somebody who's an older, cisgendered, white, privileged male, as everybody would like to point out on the left, go out there and question you. The optics aren't going to look good for them. It'll look better for you. So why not get the FBI involved? You know, that's the big thing. Get the FBI involved. Get the FBI involved. I have no problem with that. I have said all along. Get the FBI involved. Trump can order it. They're not going to just open it for the sake of opening it. So you go and you get the FBI involved, and they'll go and everybody's like, how long is it going to take? I said, it's probably going to take a few days. Well, shouldn't it last longer? I'm like, for what? We're not waiting for DNA samples. There's not going to be any lab works done. It's going to be, I'm going to interview 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 people. And we go from there. And then you write a report and you turn it in, and then everybody can go from there. But even at that point in time, let me ask you a question. If you believe her, so you heard them say, I believe. So you believe that her no matter what, right? No matter what. He goes under oath already and says, I didn't do it. I wasn't even there. She's mistaken. All of those things. You believe her. So you do this. So then you go, okay, fine. The FBI is going to come and do this thing, right? So the FBI goes and does this, and then they come out and they say, yeah, we look, there's nothing here. There's nothing credible that could even point to something. And at this point in time, it's a he said, she said thing, but there was no attempted crime, you know, judging by all the things we've talked to all the interested parties in this, and there's nothing we can point to. Is that going to change anything? Are people on the left going to go, oh, I believe it? No, they're not. Do you think the senators who are out there absolutely 110% saying this is the absolute truth, period, case closed, don't need to hear anything from him? He is a awful human being. He is a male. He has male genitalia. He identifies as a male. Plus he's white. Plus he's conservative. Plus he believes in God. So it doesn't matter. Whatever is said, whatever is put down, whatever is handed in, they're not going to believe it anyways, right? So why not bring the FBI in?
Look, you're missing my point. My point is you guys said you wanted a process, you wanted her to be heard. Then you said, you know, I don't remember a lot of things that happened when I was 15. Maybe she's forgotten. We don't know what she's forgotten and what she hasn't. She hasn't even testified.
No, don't
you won't
put
the FBI. You won't go to the FBI. The president won't ask for the FBI. Why not make the best efforts? Why not make the best efforts? There's the question.
Here's what you need to know. These are our best efforts.
Having the FBI is the best effort?
Cuomo and Kellyanne Conway fighting. Not having the FBI. Not having the FBI is the best effort? No, have the FBI. If I'm Chuck Grassley, I'm getting ahead of this. And Chuck, I think, has handled this pretty well. I don't think he handled the hearings too well, but I think he's handled this as above board as you possibly can, as solid as you possibly can. I think if I'm him, I go to the president and I said, let me try to make a deal with Dianne Feinstein and the Democrats, and we'll get the FBI involved. Because everybody wants to make a deal. Everybody wants to negotiate. Well, we can do the same thing. We'll get the FBI involved on on the condition that if they find nothing, that is an absolute, he did it, period, smoking gun, end of story, that they have to then allow us to have a vote. And, and on top of that, they will be voting in his direction, which they'll say no, right? That's bullying. It's awful. They can be weaponized. And that's the other thing. They're going to come out and say, well, it can be weaponized. And Trump's like, well, I've been saying that all along. And so then what happens? Like, that's a fair question. Why not? Go make a deal. Go make a deal. Be smart about it. And this is all of this stuff is predicated on the fact that she's going to testify sometime next week. It's not going to be a Monday. So how long do you give her? Are you just going to let her, and the Democrats run the clock out? No. So at some point in time, there has to be like a fish or cut bait time. It was supposed to be Monday. Now they're saying, well, maybe Thursday. I think you give her till Thursday. If Thursday comes and goes and there's nothing, then at that point in time, you got to move on, right? You've got to move on. Now, in his camp, there were women, Republican women, and they believe Kavanaugh. So the same way that you heard the montage of I believe, they believe Kavanaugh. And yeah, in some ways, they do go there.
I mean, we're talking about a 15-year-old girl, which I respect. I'm a woman. I respect. And we're talking about a 17-year-old boy in high school with testosterone running high. Tell me what boy hasn't done this in high school.
Ooh, is that true? She's probably speaking the truth, right? She probably is, right? She is. At what point has some guy not tried to grope a girl because they were making out or doing something? And I've never. Come on, guys. Can we stop with the BS? Right? Are you admitting that it's once again? I live in the world of common sense and reality. Right? And then on top of all of that, you toss in crazy ass hormones on both sides, right? It's not like, oh, girls don't have hormones. So you have all of this stuff. You're trying to figure out your body. Then you toss in alcohol, which is never good in any situation. You toss in poor choices of being immature and stupid and not understanding things the way that we do now because we're all so woke compared to what we were X amount of years ago. Yeah. Guys done this? Please. How far did it go? What happened? Did he abuse her? Did he choke her? Did he try to kill her? She says she was worried for her life. All of those things, they need to be addressed 110%. And these women are getting killed because, they're saying something that a lot of, and this is part of this alt middle nation that we're building here. This is part of the Chad Benson show. This is part of what we're talking about is the insanity of both sides, the few minority on both sides who scream the loudest, who cater to only a small specific area of a certain base because they rabble rouse the most. And yet we're the biggest. We're the most powerful. We are the ones who live in common sense in a world of reality. Why aren't we being louder in a situation like this? Why aren't we? And let me tell you something. These women didn't hold back.
As women, though, do you have some sympathy for her, for what she's going through?
No, I have no sympathy. And perhaps maybe at that moment she liked him, and maybe he didn't pay attention to her afterwards, and he went out with another girl, and she got bitter, or whatever the situation is. They're kids.
And there's that question, too. Do we go back and look at everything that a person did as a 15, 16, 17-year-old? Right? What were you like when you were 16 and 17? I'm just curious. Did you do things back then? And I'm not talking about, potential sexual assault, but did you do things back then where you look back and you go, wow, that was ridiculous. Can't believe some of the stuff I did. And not only can I believe that I got away with something or whatever, but I survived it. So how far back do we go? That's why I said, I joked, man, they're looking at his finger paintings. They're talking to his preschool teachers. At any point in time did he paint something that, showed he was a misogynistic potential rapist? But let's have due process before we believe any side. Let's have due process. But let's do it in a manner that is timely. If it was so rushed to get this thing out, to put this in front of everything, and you've had this for months, shouldn't you have anticipated that maybe that there was going to be some pushback and that you should have been, I don't know, ready for this? So let's have some due process so the truth can come out as much as it can based on memories from 35 years ago. And we can go from there. I got no problem with that. But either way, is the Dianne Feinsteins and the Kristen Gildebrands and the Kamala Harrises and the Cory Bookers and all of these things, are any of these people going to buy into anything that the FBI says that doesn't go the way that they want? That's a question right there. I don't think so. Because in the end, it's not about her. It's not about her experience. It's about him and stopping him at all cost. The ends justify the means in this. And by the way, I'm no huge fan of Kavanaugh. I'm not. It wouldn't have been my choice. In fact, I keep saying I like it kind of at 4-4. I think it's neat. I like it. Everybody's like, well, we need an odd number. I'm like, do we really? But hey, I like it because it gets kicked back down to the states. And I think that's most important. States' rights. But in this day and age of the world that we live in, you guys want to be all complicated and have 9? Fine. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I was telling somebody yesterday, I like it 4-4. And they're like, you're so weird. Even you, Phil, you're like, well, we need an odd number. I'm like, no, we don't.
You're so
4-4. I am weird. You're a weird character, Chad. Hey, if you're 50 or older, good for you. Guess what? You can live a while. And you're hearing all this stuff going on, the Kavanaugh, all of these kind of things. Who do you have on your side of the aisle? Right? Whether you're a conservative, whether you're a libertarian, whether you're, who do you have on your side of the aisle that's out there benefiting and advocating on your behalf, right? All these companies and all these people, they all have somebody. Who do you have? Well, for a lot of people, they don't have anybody. Their choice is ARP, and they're not really into what you're into. Wait a minute. There is somebody. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens. They're out there advocating for common sense immigration reform, Social Security reform. Yes, they're pushing for things that line up with you politically. But on top of that, the benefits, which are amazing, too numerous to mention, but I'm going to throw a few out there. 40% off movie tickets. We know how expensive that is. How about Disneyland, Disney World, SeaWorld, Legoland? 40% off. Retail, restaurant discounts. Yep. Travel discounts. Yep. Just to name a few. So why don't you join? What's it cost? How about this? I'll give you a free membership right now. That's what we worked out with AMAC. Free membership doesn't cost you a penny. No cost, no tricks, no credit card required. Just a free membership for a year. Go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. Or you can call on the telephone old style. 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668 or amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
So, breaking news, New York Times is reporting that Rod Rosenstein, you know that guy? Remember that character? Right? American attorney serving as the United States Deputy Attorney General? Remember this character? Well, apparently, according to the New York Times, and he's the official appointed Robert Mueller, once proposed secretly to taping President Trump and removing him via the 25th Amendment. Now, I'm going to go out there and say if this is absolutely real. Now, he has disputed this, but has not denied. And as our good friend, producer Phil said, semantics is everything. So when you look at something like this, if this is real, I'm sorry, you are working against the president at that point. If you feel, now the left will come out and say, see, look at this, Rod, we trust Rod. Rod thinks he's crazy. Rod thinks he can't handle anything. And Trump's been screaming, deep state, deep state. This is a very interesting thing. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Because, he already doesn't have an attorney general, according to him yesterday. Isn't it? I sometimes find Trump makes me laugh. Because Trump's very much like, you're dead to me. You're dead to me, Fredo. Like he speaks as if Jeff Sessions isn't there. Like he doesn't exist. Rod Rosenstein now is a weasel. He's a weasel. Wow, that would be huge. He was going to wear a wire and secretly try to recruit people to invoke the 25th Amendment. Can you imagine that? Sweet Mama Jamma. How did we get here is right, Phil. How did we get here, and when will we be leaving? Maybe this is just a stop, right? Like maybe this is a layover in Crazy Town. But that would be massive. If the Deputy Attorney General thinks about wearing a wire so he can get the president. Whew. Lordy, lordy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Talk about rage, right? I hear it all the time. I'm going to leave the United States of America. I'm going to leave the United States of America because Trump. Celebrities have promised, but they haven't yet. Now we got a new celebrity. He's got a movie out today promising to do the same thing if something happens. We'll touch on that. And the straw ban is here. Not the straw man, but the straw ban. And this will make the world even better. Polar bears are super excited about this. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
So, for the last umpteen months, I've heard how the world's coming to an end and all of this stuff is going to happen. It's only because of one man, Donald Trump. And because of that man, he is, of course, as we all know, evil and he must go away. But until then, these celebrities are going to flee, and run away. And it doesn't happen. And I posted some on Facebook today. You can see on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and you know, Chad Benson Show TV on the old YouTube and elsewhere. And it's crazy, right? And what I look at you is if your whole premise is, I don't like Donald Trump, and because of that, I'm going to take my ball, I'm going to go home. Or I'm going to take my talent, I'm going to move somewhere else until things are better. And once I get what I like, then I will come back. To me, you're a bandwagon patriot, is what you are. You're a bandwagon American. That's all you are. You're the person who can't stand the fact that you know what I saw last night? The Cleveland Browns won a football game. It was 635 days since they last won a football game. President Barack Obama was president since the last time they won a football game. Think about that. You know what I saw? A bunch of people that were there last night in tears because they lived through the misery of 1-31, something like that, over the last 2 years. They didn't win a game last year. And before that, they won one game on a Christmas Eve at a last-second field goal. That, to me, was telling. You saw a bunch of people there, right? Through it, thick and thin. Through thick and thin. But you hear celebrities come out and they rail against the president, blah, 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 blah.
But that's just calling him a CEO. Because what head of business believes in democracy? They don't run their businesses. Capitalism isn't democracy. You know, it's about the few rule the many. And the many are to do their work, shut up, keep their heads down, don't cause too much trouble, and make us a lot of money. He comes from that class. And he doesn't think being president should be any different than him being the CEO of his own company.
I hate some of these people.
Yeah, well, you know what? First of all, democracy is mob rule, and that's why our founding fathers like, we should be a republic because this is not going to end well. But whatever, it is what it is. And he's threatened now because this movie comes out today, right? You know, Fahrenheit 11/9, that he's going to leave if some stuff goes wrong and he may have to flee to Canada. And like, I don't even know if Canada really wants you, but whatever. And it makes me laugh because, you know, all of these stars come out. I'm leaving. And go ahead. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Good luck to you. I wish you all the best. Rather than sit here and go, you know what? I at least can admire somebody who goes, you know what, I love my country, and I may not like who is our president, right? Who this person's our president right now. He is the president, right? And I will resist, and I may not like how you resist. I may like the things you say. I may like the craziness, but at least I can admire you for going, I'm going to leave the country. I'm taking my ball and I'm going to go home. And what do you think of those apples? And it's funny because on the other side of things, they always advocate for the little person, right? They're advocating for the little person. They're advocating for the underserved and all of these things. All the while they're completely overserved, if you will. They're completely narcissistic. They have all of the advantages of the first world and then some. They live in ivory towers. They are untouchable, and they want to leave all the people you claim to care about. They're not leaving. They can't. They can't. But you're willing to take the ball that you brought and go home. And that shows me everything I need to know about you. Everything I need to know about you. Very, very sad. Very sad. You're a fair weather, bandwagon American or patriot or whatever you think you are. That's all you are. So if you want to pick up your ball, you pick up your stuff, grab your ball, and you want to go somewhere else, knock yourself out. But it shows everything about you that you are. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So there's a new law in California kicked off today. And it's about straws.
You may have heard that California is trying to ban plastic straws, but you might not have heard why. The motive for the law goes back to a statistic that Americans use and throw away 500 million straws every day. But do we? You heard that statistic from CNN, The Washington Post, Reuters, The Los Angeles Times, and a whole bunch of others. And if so many big outlets are citing it, it must be real, right? Not quite. The statistic came from a 9-year-old boy.
No way. Yeah. 9-year-old boy. 9-year-old. Statistic came from a 9-year-old boy. Okay. Remember what, like, climate changes and environment and stuff? Remember what that is. By the way, I've got a straw right here. We got a couple of them. It is what it is. But do you remember what a lot of this stuff is about? It's about feelings. It's never about facts. And you can go over and you can 97%, which is it's been debunked 100 times. And no matter how many, and even when you show somebody that it's been debunked, that was based on a 2-question questionnaire, many of which weren't climatologists or people who specialized in any of this stuff. And then it weeded down, and it went from 10,000 people, of which a majority never even answered, down to like 77. And then that was where we went. You just sit there and you're like, oh, God. But it's all about things that they just throw stuff out there because it feels good. And in the end, it's feelings over facts. And that's the sad thing where we are in this country more. It's all about these feelings. I've got feelings. Here are my feelings. I got feelings. Your data doesn't matter. My feelings matter. And it's great. But it's a straw, right? Like, it's a straw. And what they're going to do now, it's just mind-boggling. So this kid comes up with this, right? And it's great. Here's where I side on the side of let's not crap where you eat, right? Like let's make our environment better. I want clean air. I want clean water. I also don't want to destroy the economy. So there's that too, right? I want clean air and water. I don't want to destroy the economy. I think that we can, it sounds great. We're going to have all of this energy and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be naturally produced and this, that, and the other. But I live in the world of reality and my car needs to go from point A to point B and it takes gas, right? And for all of you out there who's going, well, I've got myself a Tesla or I've got myself a Prius and stuff. And I'm like, and I'm clean for the environment. And then I ask you, how do you get it? And you're like, electricity is. And how does electricity get made? Do we have an electricity catcher? And you're like, oh, coal. Ugh. So, which is fine, whatever. But at some point in time, could maybe we question some of this stuff?
The boy, Milo Kress, came up with a number by conducting phone surveys of straw manufacturers in 2011. Since then, no one has questioned his statistic, and California's law would have some scary effects if it goes through as is. For instance, unless a customer specifically asks for a straw, it will be a criminal offense for a restaurant to give them one.
Yeah, criminal offense. So what normally happens? So you're a waiter or waitress and you roll on up, right? and you're in Santa Barbara. You're working at a Mexican restaurant. You're a college kid or whatever. You roll on up. What's the normally thing you do? There's a glass of water. You put a couple straws down and you say, all right, can I start you guys off with something to drink? Well, be careful.
The city of Santa Barbara has already authorized jail time or a $1,000 fine for handing out straws on a per straw basis. So if a waiter hands out straws to a family of 6, he could get fined $6,000 or get years in prison.
Which you would think that that wouldn't happen, but we hear about stuff like this all the time. And here's the thing. While it may not happen in mass, it may happen once or twice. Somebody's going to go, this is stupid. I'm going to challenge it. And there's going to be a judge or somebody out there who's an activist to say, I'm going to have to show that we mean business and we're going to do something like this. That, to me, is the sad part. And could you imagine being in jail, right? Just for a moment, you're in jail, right? Whether you're in jail or you actually have to go to prison because you hand out 6 straws and you're doing real hard time. So you're in a place where you are captive with other criminals, some of which are there for doing not nice things to other people. And you have to tell them the reason that you're behind bars is because you gave somebody who ordered a Sprite a straw and they didn't ask for it. And there's going to be people out there that not only that may not challenge it, but there's going to be the opposite side too, where people are going to go places in hopes that somebody hands something out. I hope somebody gives me something. So that way I can then run and tell somebody, I got a straw.
But how much of the annual global plastic waste is actually made up of straws? According to Reason magazine, 0.02%.
That's us.
So if California goes in this direction, people are going to go to prison and lose their livelihoods for the sake of a ban that doesn't really do anything.
Because none of these things ever do. And then we're told every day that the world's coming to an end. We're told every day through Al Gore and all of these other people, you're a climate denier. Call me whatever the hell you want to call. I don't care. I'm just a person looking at common sense, right? It's global warming. It's global cooling. It's climate change. It's all of these things. I want a better, cleaner climate. I'm all about that. And I want it done in a reasonable, responsible way that we don't destroy the economy in hopes of doing something that you think is going to happen when the reality is it's not happening. It's not. It's not happening. Polar ice caps, according to NOAA, right? NASA and all these, well, maybe they're not as shrinking as fast. And what about the pause in this part of this time frame? And polar bears were disappearing, but wait a minute, there's more than ever. I mean, all of these, because it feels good, right? It's all about, and you want to be the right side. Here's the thing. For many of us, we want to be on the right side of feels good, right? Well, who was it? Was it George Carlin that said, everybody loves the truth until you start telling the truth about somebody, then you're an a-hole? That's kind of what it is. I want to feel good. I want to feel good about our environment. I think there have been too many people have taken advantage of loopholes and have done things that are awful, that have hurt our environment. But at the same time, there are people out there, and this is my thing, when you weaponize science, which is what's going on, and then at the tip of the spear or the barrel of the gun, you try to force people into control over things. That's the problem I have. That's the problem I have. And to think for a moment that we would waste our time, our valuable court time, with somebody going before a judge and having to get a lawyer and potentially paying fines and or doing probation and or doing something like because of a straw is ridiculous. It's stupid, but it is the world we live in. And because of that, many people think, well, more polar bears are going to live because it's a straw. And look what we've done. I feel good. I'm on the right side of feeling good. It's ridiculous. It really is. And by the way, you will have no street cred in prison if you're the straw man. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So do you think that'd be like, that sounds like a serial killer name though, right? Like that's I'm the straw man. It's like, oh, better watch out. He's a straw dude. And then they'll find out later, dude, you're the straw guy because you gave out straws. You're not the straw guy because you're some sort of badass. Oh, you guys caught me. Yeah, you don't like that. MyPillow. I got a MyPillow bag. I got a box full of MyPillows back here. I love my MyPillow. They're for my mom, and there's a dog bed in there too. I got all kinds of stuff. It really is amazing. But here's the thing with MyPillow. They got the BOGO going on, buy one, get one free. I passed out last night. I watched the football game, went to bed, passed out. Boom! Felt amazing. Woke up today, hit the ground running. I feel amazing. I love what it's doing for me. And you know, the less sleep you have, the harder it is to lose weight. You need more energy. It's bad for you. It's bad for your heart health. It's bad for your blood pressure. The more they look at the studies, the more they realize sleep is a vital, vital thing for you. So why not make a small little change that's going to make a huge, huge impact on your life? It's called MyPillow. Buy one, get one free. Premium pillows right here. So you're going to buy one premium pillow. They're going to give you another one free. MyPillow is 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. This is what I want you to do. Call 800-944-4975. That's 800-944-4975. Or you can go to mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com. When you do, use promo code Benson, Benson. That's promo code Benson, 800-944-4975, or visit mypillow.com, promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. I got your useless fact of the day. Plus, FanDuel does the right thing. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
I need a girl like you. You may be hearing that song during the halftime Super Bowl show. Make that allegedly, supposedly, reportedly, because Maroon 5 supposedly has been selected to head the Super Bowl halftime show. But the NFL has not confirmed that. But the backlash has started if it is them. Critics say, couldn't you have chosen an Atlanta-based act where the Super Bowl is going to be held? You got Usher, you got Outkast, you got T.I., you got Migos, you got Zac Brown Band, you got Sugarland.
So here's my question, right? Like, I don't have a problem with it, but, you know, you got to think of the NFL. Think of a, broad, right? Broad base. But you're appealing to a younger generation. I understand that. But an older generation likes the halftime show as well. And here's a serious question. Is Maroon 5 the American version of Nickelback? Producer Phil, you're a judge in music. What do you think?
I kind of like them, and I kind of like Nickelback too. They get a lot more hate than they deserve, but they're a decent band. They can do a good show.
Yeah, I think so too. I got no problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. Look, the NFL, they're still trying to find their way, right? Like, they're not going to, they're trying to figure it all out. They've got this entire thing going on with the flag and all of this stuff, and there's lots of unrest, and, stadiums aren't filled, and for whatever reason, you got revenues, are steady right now, but it just feels like it's peaked, and they're trying to figure it out. And so they went with the safe bet that, speaking of bets, kids, FanDuel.
You got to be kidding, man. The bettor was supposed to win $18. You're going to sue to get $82,000 for a glitch that FanDuel said existed for an 18-second window? Most people seem to be supporting the bettor and crushing FanDuel. Would they refund his money if he lost? Well, of course not, because he would have lost. He won. He should get paid. He won. He should get paid what the odds actually were, which equates to $18.35.
So a guy took advantage of a glitch, according to FanDuel, and the odds were 750 to 1 for like 20 seconds, and he bet that Denver was going to kick the winning field goal right there, and he took that bet, and he threw down $110, and he won $82,000, and FanDuel said, sorry, should have been minus like $650, you should only get $18.25. He said, sorry, this is what it says right here, you owe me, you can talk to my attorney. A few other people took advantage of it, not to the extent that he did. FanDuel said, no way, here's some tickets to the game, we'll give you $500. Yesterday they came out and said, you know what, we're going to pay you and everybody else who got in on this. It was our bad, and I think that was a stand-up thing to do. I do think it was a stand-up thing to do. He took advantage of something. if they would have made a mistake in the other way, they're not gonna pay him out. I mean, they're gonna keep his money. Yeah, that's real. Even if he would have won, I mean, we've heard about it before. I think it's a solid move by FanDuel. They got enough money. Things are going well. The last thing they need is they start betting inside of stadiums, and that's where this happened. Is something to create any more of a nightmare. So a solid move for the Duel L fan. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. You can always stream the show live later. Because what we're going to do is we're going to do all kinds of video throughout the day. So check us out on all of our stuff that we've got, which is everywhere apparently. Soon skydiving and skywriting. Here's your useless fact of the day. Cows have regional moos. If you didn't know that, that's weird. And on top of that, meaning they have accents, they also have best friends. And they get bummed when they can't find their best friends. And they taste great. Have a good weekend. Back again Monday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.